Welcome to the Ultimate Entertainment Solutions Show, presented by Ultimate Entertainment Solutions. The show where we dive deep into popular topics, equipment, and emerging technologies and trends. Hope you're ready. DJ Spin It.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? I am back. Before we get into today's episode, I just want to apologize for taking this brief hiatus. I've had a lot of things going on, business-wise and personal, and I have just not been able to do a podcast. So I just want to apologize for not being consistent. I cannot guarantee that this will not happen again, so please bear with me if it does happen again in the foreseeable future. I can tell you that it probably will happen here in the end of January, February timeframe. So if you don't hear or see a podcast coming from me around that time, just know that is planned, and I apologize again. But I am going to try to start putting out podcasts again as things are starting to somewhat slow down. It just got real busy just during that time. Had multiple events on multiple days, and then had events back to back on Friday, Saturday, and some Sundays. So very, very busy. Wanted to make sure I got the clients the best possible event that I could give them. So again, I apologize to you. So today, I know when I originally started this, I said I didn't really want to do anything with equipment, but I think we're going to do some talk about equipment. And when I say equipment, we're just going to kind of talk about equipment, not necessarily like brands, but just talk about equipment, because equipment is very important when you're running a company as far as DJing or sound or any, entertainment company. As I thought about this podcast, I thought about some of the worst investments that I made, and equipment has been some of the investments that I have gotten back or made better choices on. And, especially when it comes to like speakers or lights. When I first started, I bought Mackie speakers, and nothing against Mackie, but to me, they're just some of your lower brand speakers that, again, if you're not really trying to get real deep into DJing and some of the higher end and bigger parties and weddings and stuff, you can get away with Mackies. But if you're trying to get some of the bigger weddings, like the 200 wedding, 200, 300 people weddings, I just don't think Mackies are the speaker for you. You can get EVs and be okay with EVs, QSCs, RCF, JBL. That's where you're going to start leaning toward. And you got to get their higher brand. You can't get the lower brand. So I bought the Mackie Thumps, and I quickly learned that those were not the speakers that I needed. And I went up to the SRM series, which did okay. But I outgrew those as well. And then I upgraded to JBL, and now I have JBL and QSC. And I've been really looking at the Maui 44. I've heard Rick Webb and DJ J Book, ranting raves about them. So I really want to get a set of those. And I heard a lot of good things about the RCFs, but I hadn't really had hands-ons with those. So, but that's where I'm at with speakers. For speakers, when you're looking at speakers, there's a couple things you want to look at. And I'll say this, they got me when I first got into it because there was not a lot of information out about it. Now, as the years progress, there have been companies and DJs that come out and start talking about this. When I first started going into it, you started looking at what I thought was wattage, and that's what the speaker was about. 1,000 watts, 2,000 watts, 3,000 watt speaker, that's going to be loud and what you want. Well, not necessarily. Wattage does not necessarily equal loudness. It's just a gimmick. That's that when they put that wattage on there, it's gimmick, and that's going to be your peak wattage that they always advertise. A lot of times, a good thumb rule is if they're advertising like 3,000 watts, you cut that in half, and that's going to be your running, basically your standard running wattage, because that number that they're showing is your peak. That's the peak. But again, the wattage is not the number that you should be looking for. You should be looking for something they call SPL, and that's your sound pressure level. So your sound pressure level is basically measured in decibels, of course, your dB. It's the speaker's sensitivity. So the higher that is, and then the more wattage you have, that means the louder that speaker is going to be. So let's say you have a sound pressure level of 132, and then you have a 1,500 watt speaker or a 2,000 watt max, speaker, and then you have a SPL of 80, and then you have a 3,000 watt. Well, the 3,000 watts going to be considerably quieter because your SPL is lower. So, you want the one with the higher SPL. Even though it's advertising more wattage, it's not going to be as loud because the SPL is lower, if that makes sense. I don't really want to go crazy in depth in SPL. In the comments, if you want me to do another follow-up into this podcast, we can kind of go more in depth on a lot of these topics, then we can. We can do a part 2 of this. Another common thing that people get confused is your column versus your array speaker. So your column arrays or I keep saying arrays, but your column speakers are basically what you see most DJs are running. And those are your Evolve 50s or your JBL PRX, are the RCFs. And then you have the array speakers. Your array speakers are what you see at your concerts. They're flying arrays. They are above heads, and they're an array speaker. Totally different, and they project sound differently. So a lot of times we will say column array, like I did, is commonly mistaken. A common mistake that DJs throw out, and I'm guilty of it, as you saw in this earlier in this podcast, is how I announce or pronounce that speaker. But it is not a column array. It is a column speaker, or it's a array speaker. They're totally different, and then they project sound differently. I think column speakers are great, and they have their place in the industry. I know there are a lot of DJs that say that they can do a 200 person, 300 person party with a column speaker, the Evolve 50 M's. And I've had success with those, and I think it all depends on the acoustics of the room. Now, if you have great acoustics of the room and there's a lot of reverb, or not, there's not a lot of reverb, but there's a lot of echo, and the sound travels real well in the room, I think you can. Now, if it absorbs sound and the sound doesn't travel, I just don't see it. And I've used the Evolve 50s in several different venues, and one venue was medium size, and the sound just did not travel well, and I barely was able to do that venue. It sounded great, but I pushed them. I really had to push them, and we wound up actually blowing one of them, I believe. And we had all our sound. We had all of our EQs done right before anybody says, "Oh, well, you had an EQ." No, we had our EQs right. We just had to really push it. Then we went to another venue, larger venue, and the acoustics of the venue was a lot better, and we didn't have to push them that hard. And I mean, the sound traveled very, very well. So I think it all plays about the acoustics of the room. JBL PRX1s, I'm very disappointed in them. They are loud. They do get loud, but I just think for the price, they do not live up to what they're supposed to be. I know I watched DJ J Book's podcast on Thursday, Twisted Transitions. If you're not watching that, please go follow him and watch that on YouTube. And I believe he's on Twitch as well. He has a lot of good content and covers a lot of good stuff. But I know he said he loves JBL, but I'm not able to push him like I feel like I should be able to push him. For what I paid for them and for what they're advertising. I just don't feel like I'm able to. It could be me because I'm frustrated with them and I just kind of throw them in my trailer and I'm done with them. I've tried EQ on them and I'm just done with them pretty much. So I use them for ceremonies now. That's all I use them for. I don't even try anymore, really, to be honest with you. I will say those, since they do not have a spacer, if you're sitting down and you're close, they don't sound very well as far as the sound. Now, if you're sitting far away, they sound pretty good. Some of the limb factors on those. So some things to think about when you're buying your column speakers. I know Bose has some. I don't know anything about Bose. I have a good friend, Mario. He has Bose. He uses a lot of the Bose and he loves Bose. But I haven't personally used them and I don't personally know anything about them. So then you also have your tops, just your regular tops, your top cabinets. And I think those are still very important and every DJ should have tops. You just cannot beat a good top, especially a 15 or if you want a smaller top and then, they have them all the way down to 8s. Again, you're just not going to be able to beat a top, especially if you have to get the sound to carry out and travel over distance. There's just nothing that's going to beat a top. You're just not going to be able to do it. I don't care what you're saying. Now, again, I haven't heard the Maui 44s, but I've been told by multiple DJs that those do the trick for every event that they've been to. So I can't speak on it, but I don't think I will ever get rid of tops. I was going to. I thought JBL played up their PRX ones like you didn't need a top, and I was hoping that was the case, but that is not the case. Maybe I get these Maui 44s and that is the case. We'll see. I don't know. But I will probably still keep a backup, for tops. Like I said, for me right now, just personal experience, I just don't think I will ever get rid of tops at this point. I also have a pair of 3-ways. I use those mainly for larger events outside. When I want to really push sound, I use those outside. And then I can get my hands on another set of those. So I have 4. And then, of course, I have 2 dual subs. And if I need more, then I'll probably go rent, what else I need for outside. But, of course, it all goes into the venue or the event that I'm doing. But I would say speakers, definitely do your homework on speakers and buy quality speakers. EV, QSC, JBL, RCF. Those are going to be some of your brands that I would say stick to. Mackie, I'm just, if you have to get Mackie, you have to, but I'm just not, I used to be a big advocate of Mackie, and I thought Mackie rivaled EV, and there's no comparison. Even the SRM series of Mackies, just not going to compare them. You can't. So I lost a little money with that. I had the IP3000s. Those are a column speaker. They actually did pretty good. But I wound up selling those once I got my JBL PRX1s. I wish I had kept them now. And those are by Turbo Sound. But I actually wound up selling those because those are just a column speaker, and you have to have an IEC cord to them, and then you have to put them on a pole. So I wanted to get rid of them because I wanted an all-in-one system. But now I kind of wish I had kept them because I'm still having to couple my PRX1 with a sub. So I kind of wish now that I had kept those because there's applications where you can use those. But I went ahead and sold them. And now that the prices on those have rose, I don't think I'm going to get another pair since they've already climbed and they're not as cheap as they used to be. So that ship has sailed. Should you buy some questions that I've gotten? Should you buy black or white? Honestly, I think it's totally up to you. I don't have any white speakers. All my speakers are black. I do like the all white system at times, but I just, again, if you're starting out DJ, you got to pick one or the other. So either you're going to go all white or you're going to go all black. And, it's going to be a money pit at some point because you're trying to do everything at once. So I would say pick one and then work your way to the next if you want to. Right now, I'm sticking with all black right now. And I'll probably do all black for a while. And then once I feel comfortable and I really, 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 really start bringing in, a lot of money and, I'm not doing bad now, so don't get me wrong, but I want to bring in more before I go out and buy a white set. I just have to have the need for it because, it's literally going to be for events that you just need to use the white set for, you know what I mean? So, you have to be able to justify it. Yeah, it's going to be one of those things you just kind of got to be able to justify it. Should you buy used? If you buy used, be very careful. Know who you're buying from. Know where you're buying from. If you buy refurbished, I have bought refurbished speakers before and they've worked pretty well. So I haven't been burned on those. So I've been lucky. I wouldn't say get in a habit of doing that. I would say get in the habit of buying brand new if you can, because you do get the original warranty. And then, of course, I know EV has a good warranty. I think they have like don't quote me because I don't own any EV. The Evolve 50s that I use, I borrow those because, like I said, I got the JBL PRX ones. But I know Evolve 50s have a good a warranty. I think it's like a 10-year or 5-year, 8-year, something like that. Don't quote me. I didn't do the research. But JBL has like a 1-year or 2-year. It's okay. It's not that great. QSC, I believe, has a 3-year warranty. So, just get something that has good warranty. That way, if something happens, you can get them replaced. I do have insurance. I run insurance on my company like throughout the whole year. I pay for the year. So I have had to have a speaker repaired. But it was a PRX1, go figure. But it was a manufacturer defect on it. So, Harman, honored it and they took care of it. I just had to pay for shipping, which I thought was crazy, but whatever. If anything ever happens to some of my equipment, I just use my insurance to cover it if my warranty is up on it already. And then, we'll go into the lighting. I'm not, like I said, if y'all want me to go into more detail about speakers or something like that, let me know in the comments, and we can, let me know what you want to go more into depth in on those, and we can do that. This is just like a overall like investment. Like, don't fall into a bad investment, so to say. So you have lights. So now here's the argument. Derby lights, your gig bars, your swarm lights, stuff like that, right? Should you buy those? It's all about opinion. You be your judge. You be the judge of that. I have a gig bar and I've stopped using it, mainly because I did not like the dots and all of that. I often found myself unplugging it. So I did stop using it, and I started using Wash Effects, and then I started using my Gobos more. So, that was my preference, right? You have to be the judge of that. If your clients are okay with it and that's your clientele, I'm not going to tell you not to do it, right? I know Mario, his clients love it, right? His clientele love it. So I would be wrong to tell him not to do it. And that's, and I get where other DJs are coming from, their experience and their clients. But if you're constantly booking and you're staying booked and, you're getting what you're asking for as far as price, and nobody is haggling you with it, then you got to be your own judge, right? Don't let anybody deter you from that. I know some photographers say it is. I've talked to photographers, and photographers do have issues with it. So talk to photographers, maybe during certain times when like the father-daughter, mother-son, first dance, maybe turn it off so they get clean pictures, for those major events, but talk to the photographers and figure out times where maybe it's not good idea to use it. But, when dance floor is open and parties going on, if your clients like it, use it. A lot of times when I give my clients the option, I let them know, I'm like, hey, I have derby lights, I have Wash Effects, I have this. And they're like, well, I don't know what the difference is. And I have to go in and explain to them. I'm like, all right, derby lights are more like your club lights. They have dots, they have this, they have that. And they're like, I don't really care. Like, I'm like, well, would you rather like, and I tell them like, here's the thing. Some people think it's cheesy. Some think it's fun and festive. I'm like, it really depends on you. And I show them pictures of it. And some like, yeah, I don't like that. No, I don't want it. Or some like, no, I want that. That's fun. I want that. So again, it really depends on your client. But typically here lately, I've been running more of my Wash Effects and then my Gobos. Doesn't really take a lot more to set up. If, I just put my totems up and then, I put my DMX to it. Easy. You have lasers. I bought lasers. I used them once, and it was for an event, on a military event. Again, if you're in that scene where you need them, then I say purchase them. If you're not, I would definitely say stay away from them. Gobos. So here's the thing: when you get for Gobos, right? Only time I use Gobos is when I'm using uplighting, because Gobos scan the crowd. You really want to just kind of scan your crowd, kind of scan. Just kind of scan. They don't put out light. They just scan. They do an effect like a figure eight or, some kind of scan. So they don't put a lot of light out, right? They just kind of do a quick scan. So, if I don't have uplighting, I don't run my Gobos. So if they don't book uplighting, my Gobos don't come with me. I use my Wash Effects. So I put more light out in the room to fill the room with light, and I use Wash Effects. Now, if I have uplighting, then I'll bring my gobos. That way you get the room full of light, but then of course I give my gobos and I just give it a little extra oomph with my gobos. Now I might start this following year. I might actually do gobos as an add-on, and I might just use wash or uplights as my lighting. And then if they want to add gobos, that might be an add-on, So we'll have to see how I do this. Because that's, what we'll have to see how I do it. But right now, that's how I do it right now. Is if I have uplights, then I use gobos. If they purchase uplights. If they don't purchase uplights, then I use wash effects. Or I use the gig bar if they want the gig bar. Most time I'm DMXing everything. I use Show Express. I am currently looking at Sound Switch or the Wolf Mix. DJJ Book uses the Wolf Mix. I am kind of on the fence about both Sound Switch and Show Express. So the reason why I don't want to continue Show Express, I'm tired of having to bring another additional laptop. So I have to bring 3 laptops, right? I have to bring one for my main DJ. Well, 3 minimum, right? One for my main DJ. Then I bring a backup in case that one crashes with music. And then I have to bring my lighting computer. I'm tired of doing that. What I want to be able to do is just bring either hardware. I know Sound Switch, you can put it on your DJ computer, but I hate running external programs on my DJ computer because I feel like it slows it down. Now, me, I'm old school. I got an older Mac. I have an older Mac that I retrofitted. So it is a 2011 Mac, the big thick ones. And I retrofitted. It has, I believe, 4 terabytes of hard drive space. So I just hate putting external programs on there and using the CPU on that. So I want something. I want something like a hardware to stand alone. But that's just me. And I've been asking other DJs, like, how does the software Sound Switch run in conjunction with Serato? Like, does it pull a lot of CPU usage and everything? Like, so I'm looking into it, but I want to get away from Show Express. I'm just tired of bringing another laptop. But Show Express, other than that, is great. It took a little bit for me to learn just because I had so much going on. But once I learned it, it wasn't that bad. And then, like I said, I use software. You have hardware. No right or wrong. It's up to you. I definitely would suggest you getting and learning how to use DMX. I use a lot of the Wi-Fi's. And then you have some of the other dongles that you can just buy. And what I'm going to tell you now is get your uplighting and some of your other lights with the wireless DMX program that's already built into it, because trying to buy the dongles and all that stuff, if you can, that's built into the light, if you can buy it that's already built into the light, it just saves you a lot of headache and charging time and stuff. So what I have to do now for my uplights, I have the Tri-Wedge, and they're just battery powered lights. So now what I do is I have to buy a Wi-Fi, an ADJ Wi-Fi for each light. So I have to charge the light, I have to charge the Wi-Fi. Then I have to have a DMX cable that connects the Wi-Fi to the light. And then I have to have a Wi-Fi, my DMX 512 Universe interface, the dongle. I have to connect that to my computer. So it's a transmitter that sends to all of the Wi-Fi's, right? So it just takes a lot more time for me to set up my uplighting when I know the Element Hex ST and the Elemix Hex, they have the Wi-Fi built into it. And all I have to do is send that signal to it. Don't have to hook up a Wi-Fi to those uplights, right? So I just charge the lights, turn them on, make sure it's on the right DMX channel. And then, of course, it's programmed into Show Express since I'm using Show Express right now. And then, I put the program that I want. If I want it on Sound Active or if I want it on a chase that I've created, then I put the chase on. So just saves a lot more time. So that's what I'm going to be moving towards here in the near future. Is all my lights are going to have the wireless DMX built into it. Saves me time. Again, like I said, hardware versus software is just your preference. I also have a hardware wireless controller. I like it, but again, it's just big and bulky, so that's why I went to the computer. I thought I was gonna like the computer better, so that's why I went to the computer. And I don't like the computer better. So now I want to get the Wolf Mix, or I want to either get Sound Switch. I haven't made the decision. I'll probably make the decision after this season is over. Microphones. All right. So microphones, probably one of the next biggest investments that I would say take some time and do some research over your speakers, right? So microphones are very, very important. I had at one point in time probably 10 microphones. And at the time, I didn't really do research and I didn't know anything about microphones. I didn't know you can only set up so many microphones, together, or certain microphones you can only have like this brand or this type of microphone, this model. You can only have 4 of those connected together without having a power distribution center to power the other 4. This one you can only have 6. This one you can only have 8. So I didn't know all of that. But I did know about the frequencies, and you want to stick with all your frequencies in the same frequency. Whether if you had 4, 8, or 6, you want to keep them all in the same frequency so they don't, it's not a train wreck. I didn't know that. And then, of course, I didn't know you want to check your local area to see what's the best frequency microphone to get for your local area. I did know that you should scan your mics if you have that ability before the event. So I would say start researching microphones before you buy, and then kind of get a plan of what you want to do. This was probably one of the next biggest investments that I made that I lost a lot of money on was microphones minus speakers and lights. And that's because I bought prematurely and didn't do a lot of research. So the first few mics that I had were the Shure BLX. I think it was the 24R series, and I got the SM8. They were great mics. Don't get me wrong. They were great mics for what I needed at the time. But once I got to the point where I needed like 5 mics, that's where I had issues. Because I could not use all 5 of those together. And I did not know that because I didn't do the research. You could only use, I believe it was up to 3 or 4 of those together. And I found that out the hard way. Luckily, I had 2 Technica, the Technica 10 mics, the digital 10 mics. And I was able to get through the event that I needed to get to. So we made it happen. So, always have backup equipment and enough equipment. So if something happens, you can still do your event. But it took me a lot more time to set up because I had to rewire, because I have a big amp rack that everything sat in. And I used, 3 of those mics before together, but I didn't never try to use all 5 of them together. And then once I tried to use all 5, that's when I realized I had a problem. So, so another thing is make sure you test all your equipment out that you want to do. So if you got 5 mics in your amp rack, make sure you test them all out together, right? But another thing I ran into with these BLX is dropout. I had a lot of dropout with these, and it wasn't that far. I even had changed the antennas to the half wave, and I got that. Change your antenna to the half wave. So I did that. I know I was told to be careful changing to the half wave, something with the FCC. I didn't really do the research. I don't care. If the FCC wants to come after me, come on, whatever. For changing the antenna to the half wave, whatever. So I did change it to the half wave, but I still had dropout. Nothing was near it, like no laptop computer, because I know laptops can interfere sometimes if you put it right in front of the antenna. But nothing was around an antenna. It's just I don't know. It was crazy. But I did have some dropout. And then what else? I think that was the last straw when I had to drop out. So once I figured out what I wanted to do with those, the capability wise, that's when I decided to sell them. The dropouts, I could have got an antenna splitter, and so you have 2 antennas on one box. So your transmitter has 2 antennas. So that antenna splitters, basically what it does is it brings those 2 antennas to one, and then it amplifies it. So in theory, it's supposed to amplify it, and you get a better signal. So that possibly could have helped me out with that dropout, or I could have got the antenna distribution system, and with the big antenna ears, and put that on there, and try to help out with dropout. But again, the capability that I wanted, I couldn't do, so I decided to get rid of those, and I bought the Shure SLX series. I have the lapel here now. And I actually just got these in. So these have been on back order for almost a year because of that plant that burned down, that chip plant. These have been on back order for almost a year. And I finally got my hands on 2 of these lapels. I finally got my hands on 2 of those receivers about 3 months ago. And I finally got my hands on 2 of these lapels. So very excited that I finally got these. I'm actually very in love with this series. Sound quality, love it. I mean, I absolutely love it. The way they feel, I mean, I love it. I can't stop ranting and raving about it so far. I've used them almost 4 times since I got them, and I mean, I absolutely love it. Lapels I have not used yet. I hadn't had a chance to use these. Like I said, I just got these in this week, 2 days ago. So these just came back in stock, like just now. So I can't wait to use these. And I'll tell you what I did. So I bought the Phoenix Pro. Right, I bought the Phoenix Pro, and I say this: the Phoenix Pro have not been bad. They have not been bad. Now they are very loud, and you have to turn them down. You can EQ them to make them sound great. The Shure's, I have not really had to EQ the Shure's. I mean, you plug them up. Shure's have been wonderful. And I know some people say Sennheiser. I should have gone Sennheiser. I looked at Sennheiser, and I couldn't get those either. So, I mean, so I had to go with what I had to get, right? What was available. So I got the Phoenix Pro. I got the 4. I think it's the 700 PTU ones. So that has the 4 of them. And I was running those for my last several weddings for the past, I believe it was 6 months now. And hadn't done bad. I mean, I've had people actually compliment them and say, hey, these are absolutely great mics, right? Because, of course, if you EQ them and everything, they sound great. But they take a little bit of work to do. Now, pros of them, they were like $300. I think 400, 372 when I got them, right? 372. And they got me 4 handheld mics, and they got me 2 lapels. Right? Can't beat that, right? I didn't have the microphone, the part of the lapel, but it got me the actual the lapel itself, just not the microphone piece of it. Now here's where I got it. I'm excited to test these out. With these, I've been able to find more quality mics. Like, I guess that's what you actually call the lapel when I search it. That's the actual lapel, the part that plugs into this lapel mic. I've been able to find more quality lapel mics, and they're supposed to pick up sound and sound a lot better. What I found with the Phoenix Pro, so the Phoenix Pro are a true, they're a true XLR. They're just a 3-pin XLR lapel mic. And I had a hard time finding different omnidirectional size lapel microphones. And the only ones that I could find were the bigger size. They had the bigger size mic heads. And I didn't like that because, of course, on pictures, right? But you got to use what you got, right? You can get. So I ran with them. Now, when I would turn the sensitivity up, because a lot of times they only wanted to mic one person up, which I completely enjoy when I only have to mic one person up, meaning the efficient. To do so, you turn your gain up on that channel, and then you turn your volume down. When you turn your gain up, that's your sensitivity. So it picks up more sound. So it'll pick up your officiant, it'll pick up your bride, and it'll pick up your groom. But then, of course, you have to play with your EQs. So you have to play with your mids, your lows, and your highs. Well, when I did that, it didn't matter what I played with, because I had to bring that up, and I tried to tell them, like, hey, it's so hard to talk to them, and like, I need you to speak up. I need your brides, your grooms, your officiant. Like, I need y'all to speak up. I know I got a lapel on, but I need you to speak up. It's so hard to get them to do that, because some of them are nervous. Some of them are crying. So it was so hard, and they didn't. So you do it, and it would sound a little tinsy. So I'm kind of curious if that was that, or if it was because the microphone was not, the actual lapel mic was not that great of a quality. So I'm kind of excited to use these, and I'm gonna do some tests, and hopefully I can, come give you a better answer on that. So I talked about the antenna distribution system. I will be picking up one of those I don't think I'm going to get rid of the Phoenix Pros, but I think I'm going to get an antenna distribution system. I did have a few cut out on the lapels. Now, the microphones on the Phoenix Pros, I hadn't had any cutouts on those. So I will give you that for the Phoenix Pros. The lapels, they cut out, but they only cut out a couple times. It wasn't like real bad. It only cut out 3 times, but it was real quick. and it wasn't very noticeable. I noticed it. Maybe the guy that comes help me, he noticed it, but it wasn't too bad. But it's just one of those things, and you can see the signal on it. But I wasn't that far away, so that was kind of the interesting factor. And I had scanned it prior to the start of it. So what I've started to do now, I scan it. When I get there, test it out, get the sound and everything going, make sure it's up high enough, and then as guests get there, once the guests are there, and we are probably like 10 or 15 minutes out, and I have a lot of my guests there, I scan again, and then I'll lock those channels. Because now that I have more guests there, I have a lot of the interference that I'm going to have. Because what happens is when I scan it before guests get there, there's no cell phones, there's no interference, there's nothing, on those channels. So it's great. So I and this could just be me, is I think what happened, a couple of those times I had the dropouts, those couple of dropouts was I scanned it, I found a channel, but then when the guests got there, they had their cell phones and stuff, and then there was interference in those channels. So when I did that, even when I did that with the Sures, I hadn't had any problems with those. Zero, zilch. And then the one time I did it with the Phoenix Pros, I've had zero problems with it. Now, I don't know if it's coincidence or if that was logic. To me, it's logic. If somebody knows better, please tell me. I'm open to criticism and to learn myself. I'm still learning. So, when you're looking at the lapel mics, you have omnidirectional and unidirectional. I always get omnidirectional, and this is talking about the sound waves, how it picks up sound waves. Omnidirectional picks up omnidirectional, like it picks up from multiple directionals, right? Unidirectional, well, it's self-defined, So if you're wanting to pick up multiple sound from multiple directions, for me, I would say, to me, the best to get is a omnidirectional for ceremonies. Now, when you're going into acting and stuff like that, I would say unidirectional. If you're always going to mic up the officiant, the groom, and the bride, and you know that, there's no undisputation, like there's not disputing it, like for 100% that you're gonna do that, you could get away with a unidirectional. But me, I don't. Again, sometimes I might mic up the groom and the officiant. Sometimes I might just mic up the officiant. Most times the bride, because of the dress and a lot of the limb factors, we don't mic up the bride. Now, if it is a same couple and you have two brides and one is wearing a suit, then we can get away with it. But it just depends. Half wave antennas, again, I would suggest doing it. Then those little bitty antennas that you get some quality ones though. The ones that have the gasket in it. Get those. I think another good investment would be an antenna distribution center or a system, not center, system. And again, scan every time prior to the event. And then again, my suggestion is scan when the guests get there. And then I got to do some research. And I think somebody told me, a good person, I've been seeing on other groups. Sorry, my glasses are killing me. I don't wear glasses normally, but I would normally wear contacts, but I scratched my eye. So, I have to wear my glasses. But the antenna splitter. So I'm gonna have to talk and see if antenna splitter it can be coupled with that antenna distribution, if that's just dumb and not even needed at that point. So we'll see. What else? Something else for you to get: quality XLR cables. I don't care if it's coming from your microphone or if it's coming from your controller, your CDJs, your turntables, to your to your speakers. Quality XLR cables, and make sure you get multiple different sizes and multiple in those sizes. You just never know how many you will need of a 15-foot. You never know how many you need as a 20-foot. You never know how many you need of 30 feet. You never know how many you need of 20 foot. Thumb rule, I say, starting out, try to get 4 10-foot, 4 20, and 4 15, right? That's what I would do. And then you build on that slowly, right? And then, of course, that goes same thing for your power cables, your IEC. And then if you have PowerCon, you always want to have cables of different sizes. And you want to have additional, because you never know. Like, a cable could go bad. If a cable goes bad, are you going to have a spare? Or are you just not going to be able to run? Me, I got a big bag of cables. I got a big bag of cables, and I buy quality cables. You want to have the IEC connect, like I call them jumper cables. So it's like the female and male end of IEC cables. They're just like the extenders. They're IEC extenders. You want to have multiple sizes of those. You want to have at least 4 10-foot, 4 15. I never really ran into a problem where I needed 420. At that point, you probably just want to get extension cord or something, if you need to run 20 foot or something. So, but I mean, you could, I guess, get a 421. Sure. You want to have multiple extension cords. I would suggest getting, at least, 420, at least 450, and then 2 100. I wouldn't suggest running anything past 100 feet. The thumb rule is anything that you run past 100 foot, there is a power loss. So you do get a little power degradation past 100 feet. So you have to kind of count for that. I don't really run anything past 100 feet. So, but if you're running you shouldn't. I run everything. I split my system left and right. So my left side is on a power conditioner. My right side is on a different power conditioner. So if you're, you should run 100 foot to the right, 100 foot to the left if you need to run. And then you have those going to power conditioners. And then each power conditioner should be like 6. Typically has about 6 outlets in it. So you should have well enough outlets, off of 2 power conditioners. And I would highly suggest get power conditioners. Fuhrman makes great ones. And even in my amp rack, I have the amp rack power conditioners. Everything has power conditioner. If you look into my controller, that's a power conditioner right here. And everything in my controller, in this case, is powered by a power conditioner. None of my equipment goes straight to the outlet. Everything, all my equipment plugs directly into a power conditioner, because what it does is, if you get dirty power, it cleans that power up and it conditions it. It cleans it up, and then it sends it to your equipment. And then if there's a surge or something, that power conditioner is a surge protected conditioner. So it'll take the brunt of that and it protects your equipment. It never goes directly to your equipment. Another way to protect your equipment. Highly, 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 highly suggest those. A fan, yep, highly suggest that. Anti-fatigue mat, highly suggest that. Protectant covers, bags, highly suggest those to protect your equipment. Your speakers, keep them looking good as long as you can. If you have black speakers, get you a black Sharpie marker, touch them up. White, I don't know what you'd probably just get you a white Sharpie marker, hit those with the white ones. And then, of course, backup computer. Make sure you're backing up your music. The worst thing you can do is lose all your music and not have a backup. That's just the worst thing you can do. What do you do if you don't got, as a DJ, if you lose your music? I mean, how do you DJ? Backup computer chargers. And so check this out. Make sure that charger is rated for your computer. I had a DJ, so I was doing a wedding, and I left my charger up top in the reception hall. And I had a guy. He was helping. He was an interpreter because it was a multicultural wedding. He was a DJ. He was like, "Hey man, I got the same laptop. It's a little newer, but I got the same charging card. I got it off Amazon." He said, "It's right here. I'll let you use it." Well, the guy who came with me, my assistant, he went and got mine. He came back, got mine. He was like, "Dude, mine's a fast charger. It'll charge yours quicker." He was like, "Just use mine." In my head, I was like, "No, don't do that. Don't do that." But I was like, you know what? Whatever. And I did it. Well, guess what? It froze my whole computer. Froze it. As the bride was walking down the aisle. And my whole computer froze and shut down. Well, the program, Serato, shut down. Imagine how I was like, I immediately unplugged it. And I heard it because as soon as I plugged it up, it had a buzz. I was like, what is that noise? I'm in my head, I'm like, what is that noise? And I'm looking around. I'm like, what is that noise? And I'm looking, I'm like, what is that? And I was like, wait a minute. The only thing I did was plug his up. And I took it off and it went away. At that moment, I should have said, all right, nope. Well, me being me, I was like, let me see if I put it back. And when I put it back, it started buzzing again. And that's when it froze it up. And I couldn't get it off fast enough, and it froze up. Luckily, I was able to get it back up and running within a few seconds. And then I hit play again. It was just a small interruption, but still, that's a bad look, right? Yep. USB cables, the USB-C, the USB-B, I believe it is. Have multiple of those. Those things go out crazy. I've had 2 of those go out. So make sure you use those, have backup of those. Those things are cheap. Very, very cheap. Good microphone stand. Good speaker stands. Right now I use the Gator framework stands. I love them. There's a love-hate relationship. I love them. I hate them because they're heavy. And then they're bulky I just hate looking at them. I'm going to go to the zero gravity stands here shortly because it's only one pole. And to me, it just looks better than, having that base the way it is on your standard, your tripod speaker stand. So I'll be switching over to your zero gravity stands for speakers. Now the downside with that is you have to go back to the old school and lift them up. I know the downside, I know the pros and cons of that, but But I did waste money on stands. Not a lot of money on speaker stands, but I did waste money on speaker stands because I bought the little cheap ones and they broke and they didn't last. What else? What else? I'm trying to think of what else that kind of steer away from when you're making purchases, like especially as a new person or a new DJ coming into this. Cameras. Do your research on cameras. I've wasted a lot of money on cameras trying to get content, and I still need to buy a camera for content. That's why you don't see a lot of video from me from events, because I don't have the right camera to capture the video. I know I can capture from my phone, but I'm so interactive and trying to do stuff and trying to make sure things are going off without a hitch, that it's just hard for me to pick up my phone and start recording with my phone. Now I might try to find a stand that my phone just sits on, and then I can just have it and then unlock it and I can just hit record. That might be something that I can actually do and then just let it record and something like that. But cameras, that is a good investment. Make sure you get a good camera. I wish I could give you advice on cameras. I know Mario said iPad, so that's something you can look into. I priced an iPad. That thing was expensive, so I wasn't really looking at paying it. I think it was close to like $800-900, I believe, or somewhere around there. And then the other camera that I really wanted was like 14, 15 something just for the shell. So I kind of held off for now. I hope to get you some content of events, soon. I'm just going to give you a heads up. Next year, you're not going to see a lot of events. You're not going to see any events from me next year, I don't believe, just due to my job. I will be out of the country all next year. So, that's just a heads up. I'm going to be out of the country all next year. And again, that's like I told you, I've been trying to get my life together. So I've had a lot of things going on, I'm going to, I'm not going to go too in depth into what, going on, but I'll be out of the country next year. So you won't have a lot of you won't have a lot of gig content from me, but I'm gonna still try to do the podcast, and then information, and then I might try to do Twitch. I might jump on Twitch and stuff like that. I might try to do that. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. I know I got a lot of DJs that I know that's like, dude, get on Twitch, but for me, I have to feel the energy. If I don't feel the energy, I get bored real quick if I don't feel your energy. So with Twitch, it's just, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But, besides that, if you want to know about something, any other equipment, I definitely have bought a lot of equipment that I regretted. If you ask me probably what's my biggest piece of equipment that I regret buying, I don't know. I would have to say, I don't know. I don't know if I could say anything, because I used everything at some point in time. It was a milestone. Like it was a stepping stone for me. It was a journey that I used it. I did have one of those white strobe lights that I never use, I guess, but I only paid like $100 for it. I mean, I guess $100 is $100 that I wasted. I mean, we can go into more in depth. Like, I have the Invis. I mean, I didn't really want to go into specialty equipment, like cold sparks and stuff like that, because not everybody does that. And that's a specialty piece of equipment. If, we want to talk about that, let me know in the comments. We can do something on that later on a different podcast. Controllers, man. I have a controller. I actually have two controllers. I've had CDJs. I still have my Technique MK2s. They're in the closet with the mixer. I don't pull them out because it's just so much work to put them up, and I'm not going to ever take them out to do an event with. Now, when I want to just have fun, I'll pull them out, but I'll probably get rid of that mixer because it's a Denon DNS something. I can't remember. It's not even like a battle mixer. It's just a regular. It's a nice mixer, but it's not a battle mixer. But I'll probably get rid of that mixer and then get like a Rain or something, like a battle mixer. And then, like I said, when I just want to have fun, pull them out, set them up, have fun. But yeah, I don't really know what I would say. I mean, some of the small component things like a computer arm. I think some of that stuff, like I regret buying. Maybe camera that I don't use now, but I can always sell that. And then of course some of the other stuff that I bought, like lights and stuff, I've sold that I don't use. So, I mean, that's the good thing about this industry is you can sell stuff. Now, I did let a lot of stuff go for cheap that I just didn't use, that I outgrew. I bought some truss. It wasn't by Truss or wasn't by ProX. The guy who sold it to me said it was by Truss. And I didn't know any better. I didn't know Truss had the sticker. I didn't know. Again, I'm new into the game, and I made an offer on it. He accepted. I think I paid $800 for it, and but I got a lot of it, right? Good, like a lot of it. I could do some setups with it. Well, come to find out, it was some knockoff. I don't even know where he got it from, and he couldn't tell me where he got it from. Well, it didn't have base plates, and I had a hard time finding base plates. And after a few years, I just sold it because I couldn't really do what I wanted to do with it, and I couldn't expand on it. So maybe that was probably the worst thing that I ever bought. I think that'd be the worst thing that I ever bought. I think that's the biggest regret that I bought. Other than that, I'm not going to do a hot seat today. You know what? I'll do a hot seat. So I don't know if I did this, but my thing is, my hot seat is for vendors and stuff. Like, I guess my biggest thing is like, one of my biggest thing is when we come in, like DJs, we come in and we start setting up and doing stuff, right? It's like communication at times is very subpar, right? I've reached out to several different wedding planners and venues and stuff, and I've yet to I haven't heard anything back from them. Get to the venue, and then they want to give me all this information. Well, when I'm at the venue, it's kind of too late now. I'm there to set up, so it puts it makes things a lot harder for us as DJs, and it puts us at a disadvantage because now we're at the spot, at the venue the day of, and we're trying to figure stuff out. I know I had one and I mean they didn't know that they were going to they didn't know they had a 360 booth. They had the remembrance table where the DJ was supposed to be. Like, I mean, it was just so much that they didn't know where the seating chart was. And I mean, it was just so much. It was just so much. And then, throughout the event, I kept trying to tell them, like, hey, if we do this, this is the program, right? Like, here's the program. This is what I talked to the client. This is what they wanted. This is what we decided on. This is what I got. So throughout the night, they kept changing it, and they were supposed to let me know. Well, they didn't let me know. They would just come up like, hey, we're going to change this. We're going to go this. So it made me look bad because I had no clue of what's going on. So if I announced something, they would come up like, hey, no, we're going to do this. I'm like, all right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what? Instead, we're going to do this, or change it. So it made me look bad. And I've had a couple of those events where, we had something planned and they did not relay the changes to the DJ. The DJ is your MC. If any changes are made, you have to let the DJ know ahead of time. Matter of fact, you shouldn't make any changes without talking to the DJ first. I know you got a wedding plan. I know you got a day of coordinator, right? But a wedding planner, they plan it, right? So the day of your wedding, if you're DJ, like what I like to do is, so if my wedding is on a Saturday, right? Because Friday I'm packing my trailer and everything, and I'm doing my double check. So I don't really want to talk to the client that Friday because I know that they have their rehearsal and all this, and I typically might have an event on that Friday. So I usually use that Thursday to talk to my clients. So that Thursday I talk to my clients and I'm like, hey, any changes? Nope. All right, listen, if you have any changes, please let me know. Or call me before we make that change. All right. That's the last thing we do. And I get to the event, and sure enough, there's a change, but nobody's told me. So I think that's the most frustrating thing, and it gets to be, and I think a lot of times wedding planners and stuff get upset when we are frustrated, and we kind of have a slight attitude, but it's not nothing. It's them. It's like, you make us look bad because the guests think it is us. Well, if I don't have that information, I can't announce something, or I can't properly make this event flow right. Does that make sense? You're like, I can't do this event right if you don't tell me that you changed something. I did an event, and I mean, people weren't there, but I didn't know that because nobody told me that they didn't come. So, one thing is, I think moving forward, that the day of, before the reception, I might start what I do anyway. I don't ever let them just walk in, even if I got a coordinator or event planner. Hey, the bride and groom and the wedding party ready. Okay, give me 1 second. I'll be out there and I'm going to greet them. I always do that. I never just call them in. I always go greet them. I always go out there. Hey, look, this is who I got. This is the order that I have. This is how it's going to go. I'm going to call your name. You're going to hear the music drop. I'm going to call your name. You're going to hear the music rise. You come out. You're going to hear the music drop again. I'm going to say, call your name. You're going to hear the music rise. Have fun, dance, scream, yell, run, do something. You are the party go-getters. You are my exciters. Like, I need you to get this party going, right? That is your job. So at that time, they'll tell me, oh, well, so-and-so changed this and that. And I can make a quick note like, hey, I already announced it here. I can, but I think at that time, I'm going to say, hey, are we still doing this dance, this, and that? And I'm going to confirm before we go into the formalities and everything. Moving forward, because I've been burned too many times with last minute changes. So, but that's the hot seat. And that's kind of the tip of the day too. Just make sure you're confirming as much as possible. Because I give them so many planning tools, and then I confirm it with them. I even lock it out to where they can't make changes. And it tells them like, hey, you must call and contact me to make a change. It tells them. And I do so much communication back and forth with them. I check on them. If they text me, I text them. If they call me, I call them. If they email me, I email them. I make sure the way they communicate with me, I make sure to communicate with them. So if they're more of a texter, I text them. If they're more of a caller, I call them. If they're more of an emailer, I email them. But there have been times where I just don't get that information. And they give it to the wedding planner, but the wedding planner or the coordinator never gives it to me. So nothing against wedding planners and coordinators. I know they're busy. They got a lot going on. And they might think that maybe the bride and groom or bride and bride, whatever it is giving it to me as well, but they're not. So, but anyway, that was our podcast for the day. I want to thank you for tuning in. I'm going to try to do another one next week. And, again, I can't promise you this is going to be consistent, as I gave you an indicator that, like I said, next year I won't be doing any events. So I'm going to be out of the country. So kind of give you an indicator. Like I said, I've been kind of busy. I've been super swamped with events. If you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, you've been seeing pictures of the events that I've done. I've had some awesome, wonderful events here lately. And it's just going to keep going. I took this weekend and next weekend off. I have family coming in this weekend. And of course, next week is Thanksgiving. So I took that weekend off to spend with the fam. And then we right back at it with the wedding. And we're running. We are running to the end of the year. So I'm going to sign off, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one.
You've been listening to the Ultimate Entertainment Solutions Show. If you enjoyed our show, be sure to tell a friend. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss a show. See you next time.